Hello, a very good morning to you all. Welcome to Sunrise Daily this morning. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
Good morning, I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf.
Good morning and welcome. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo.
Well, just to inform you, today is the last day in the first month of the year. Yes, the year is already 31 days old. I'm Ayo Makinde. Good morning and welcome.
I don't know why you have to keep reminding us like that, but it's good to know that January, has come to a beautiful end. I hope that it's been beautiful at your end as well.
Yeah.
And that you've been able to set the right tone for the year. Talking about tones for the year, this day was supposed to mark a day for so many things. We're looking at the end of PVC collection. It was supposed to be today. The stoppage of the old Naira notes as legal tender was supposed to be today, but somehow we now have an extension. Just on Sunday, it was announced that we had a 10-day extension. But I don't know what it was like at your end to get the new Naira notes. We already highlighted that yesterday, that in Abuja, where we stay, and a number of other states, what we saw was, chaos, queues everywhere. In many instances, ATMs were in dispensing. We understand that banks have been mandated to work through the weekends to ensure that people are able to deposit their old Naira notes. But trust that there are those who will try to exploit the situation. Just yesterday, we also heard of the arrest of illegal POS operators. I don't know, as I said, I do not know how they were identified as illegal. But if the news that we're getting is anything to go by, then indeed some illegality has come into this. A situation whereby POS operators, the people who have now been mandated by banks to make sure that there are, those where places where banks are unable to get to, people have access to banking activity. Those are the people that are called the POS operators. They usually operate, far from the city center, in places that are hard to reach, and the people, might find it a bit difficult to get to the banks. That's where you find the POS operators. As a result of the scarcity of the new Naira notes, I don't know, I want to believe that, the central bank is doing something about that. But in the meantime, as a result of this scarcity, the POS operators are now collecting as much as 10% on every withdrawal that you make. So, for instance, if you want to withdraw 10,000 Naira, POS operators will demand as much as 1,000 Naira from you. That's 100 Naira on every 1,000 that you get from them. We understand that yesterday the DSS was able to intercept a syndicate who were selling the new Naira notes. You have to ask, how did that syndicate come about? Why do we have to exploit every single situation, that we come about? Why is it that, when situations like this happen, we don't even remember that it is our fellow Nigerians who are going to be bearing the brunt of this? People immediately think is some sort of business. Should this be allowed to continue? Are the authorities aware of this? And what precisely do they intend to do about this? Because I certainly won't pay 10% of my money to anybody to be able to get the cash equivalent. I don't know about you, Chamberlain.
Absolutely not. Not a chance. I even struggle paying the little that we're supposed to pay. But, this is a existing challenge that the people have to grapple with. Much as they tell you that, it is only those who have illegal funds and things like that, but it's affecting even the common man, that they said that this was not meant to make life harder, not any harder than it already is for lots of them, a lot of us, because we're all in this together, as it were. But it is something that they need to actually look through, and we hope it doesn't end up as we see with, for instance, major racketeering in this country, if it's got to do with the oil, if it's got to do with anything. They just arrest the foot soldiers, and then the guys who are behind them, nothing.
Let's ask the Lagosians.
Maybe they know something.
Yeah, and you know, they also have Owambes. I don't know, somehow the people who do this, who sell new currency notes always seem to get it before the rest of us. I don't know what your experience has been like, Bukola and Ayo.
Well, Malpe, I'm not one for Owambes from time, you know, but the weekend didn't come without reports of the Naira reign, the new currency reign at Owambes. And this is as against, you know, other reports of Nigerians queuing, you know, endlessly, queues as long as Third Mainland Bridge, trying to get, that's an exaggeration, by the way, but trying to get the new Naira notes without success. In most of the ATMs, they weren't dispensing. It was really sad. And the queues for those who wanted to deposit also was just as long in banks on Saturday. It is really, really sad. So besides the scarcity of petrol, there's also the scarcity of the new Naira notes. And it appears Nigerians have now gone cashless 100% by compulsion rather than by choice. And, you know, reports about the DSS making arrests of those selling the new Naira notes is a welcome development. But what's not so welcome is that we don't know, the DSS didn't mention names. And that's why impunity reigns in this country. When there's no culture of deterrence, then people will continue unchecked. And there's also that addition that it appears banks are aiding and abetting this practice, this malfeasance. It's really, really sad. Perhaps if, you know, we can know those who are indulging in this practice, you know, name them to shame them, then it will be checked. But thank God for our lawyers. Our lawyers are reminding us about the CBN Act, which compels the Apex Bank to collect, even after the expiration of the time required for recall, to collect the new Naira, old currency from those who want to exchange it. CBN Act 20, subsection 3, according to the NBA president, notes that any person who shall be in possession of the old notes which have ceased to be legal tender by 31 January 2023 is at liberty to approach the CBN and demand for the redemption of the notes, and the CBN is under statutory obligation to redeem the notes. So there really is no reason for this difficulty that Nigerians are being put through. There really is no reason for it. So why the currencies, the new notes are in short supply, we need the Apex Bank officials to explain. Also, this is a reminder of you know, the outgoing week where the House of Representatives members demanded the appearance of the CBN governor. We still don't know why the CBN governor hasn't made that appearance, but there really needs to be an explanation about why the new notes are in such short supply. Nigerians need an explanation as well, and they need to be put out of this difficulty. Ayo, did you happen to attend any Owambes over the weekend?
Well, I attended a lot on my phone. A lot of people throwing bills. I saw one video, very, very heart-rending. This fellow was spraying in bills. He didn't open the thing. It was just one bill after the other of brand new 200 Naira notes in bills. And you know, one bill has 300 notes. It was just going like that, on and on and on. Couldn't have been anything less than 10 bills that this fellow shared. And that's just one. Several other videos showed, and of course you must have also seen those videos. You know, from the angle of the DSS, I think what's important is, so if they say that they have intercepted the syndicate, clearly there is some tracking. I'm abashed as to how the CBN would say there is a lot of money with the banks, but the money is not getting to the cash is not getting to Nigerians. I'm flustered. Sometimes I feel like, you know, let no one think that Nigerians don't know how these things work. It's cash. It's trackable. How was the CBN able to know that out of 3-point-something trillion, 2.9 or thereabout is outside of the banking system? It is because it was tracked. There is no way that the banks, the CBN wouldn't know which bank the cash has gone to and how much has gone to each of the banks. So if the CBN wants to wash its own hands clean, let them come out and say, this bank got this amount, this bank got this amount.
Otherwise, there will be suspicion as to whether or not the CBN itself is sincere in that regard. Secondly, is to the statement of the CBN, of the DSS, that says, you know, that some bank officials themselves are indicted in this matter. This is not a matter for name and shame, Bukola. This is a matter for prosecution. This is a matter for interrogation. How come these things are happening? You go to any event at all, you see these currency hawkers. I saw a very heartrending report on in one of the dailies. It says that this fellow says, look, he has work to do. She was a woman, a trader. I said, look, the traders don't have the money to spend. They don't have the change to give to me. I have to go to currency hawkers in this nation. And we have, of course, the DSS has been able to do its job here. We have bank officials who, as Malcolm said, are out to exploit fellow Nigerians. Who is suffering? There are even banks, we understand that there are some people who say, look, if you do not come with new Naira notes, you will not get fuel. They won't sell fuel for you. And these things go across the nation. I want us at some point to know that what goes around comes around. At the end of the day, it will come home to you, whoever you are involved in all of this syndicate, whether we know you or not. At the end of the day, it's going to come to you. So I think the message of love for each other, for nation, should go ahead of all of us, and not just our pockets. Chamberlain and Mokwe.
Well, those are very interesting perspectives, you know, really, just highlighting the paucity of financial instruments right there, guys. And it's a huge issue, very huge issue. So, because this challenge will always be there. You have so many people who will take advantage of that. If they cannot access those facilities through which they can get the funds, you create an opportunity for alternatives. But in addition to that as well, is when they talk about people keeping money at home or not keeping money here, I'm trying to find out if there's, because I know that one of the basic ways that you encourage people to bank is incentives. If you tell me that I'll get more interest here or just give me facilities, of course people will naturally gravitate towards all of those things. But compulsion, I don't know how that is going to work out, really, to achieve their target. I do not know. But we'll go ahead and take a look at some of the dailies here. Let's rice sector, rice farms, where they get facilities at a very good rate, and then the agreement is, of course, after which you make those currencies available to businesses that want to use it to help ease the processes. But they don't do that. They then go and round trip and make it more easy. Then they profiteer and make it all difficult and sabotage the entire system and give the regulatory bodies a headache. So what we do to ourselves, really, we need to just sit and think, you know, how much of all of this can people actually make do with? But look at some of the riders. Money outside banks declines. Well, you need to go to the story and see according to who. Banks reduce old notes OTC withdrawal to 10,000 naira. That's over the counter. Customers' frustration over new Naira notes continues. And there's several stories circulating now that no over-the-counter withdrawal of new notes to, to individual, to corporates and politicians. I'm here to check and verify if that is really true. but all sorts of things circulate at this time. But now you can see here, banks reduce old notes over-the-counter withdrawal to 10,000 naira. So maybe we need to go to the banks and find out if there's over-the-counter withdrawal or payment of new notes. So we need to verify.
I don't understand that particular rider. It says bank reduce old notes OTC withdrawal to 10,000 naira. So you still get to withdraw the old notes?
Now that's the thing. That's where I'm going. So one wonders, are they still supposed to be issuing old notes?
That's the question.
The directive was no more old notes issuance. So it should be new notes. So if they are doing this, CBN, is this right? And if that's the case, what's going to be done about that? But that is Vanguard.
And you know, the thing about this is, oftentimes in rural areas, I'll give you an instance, my own community where I come from, Badagry, there are few banks, they have a few banks there, and so few ATM machines. If you go there on a weekend, oftentimes you will see a queue. This is on a regular weekend, because I mean, very few banks, very few ATMs, and that's where the people have to do their transactions. So you can imagine in a period like this where there is scarcity and uncertainty. Do you know what it will be like at the ATMs? In the cities, there's scarcity. What will it be like in rural areas where there are very few banks and very few ATMs? You know.
But wait a minute. Could this be that this is what this? Could it be a hidden plan?
To do
is this what this policy is supposed to achieve in the first place? Because I'd have thought that they would have done all the analysis and ensured that, look, this is what will likely play out, so how do we address this? So if this is playing out, how many weeks after the introduction, how many weeks to the deadline, and then extension, and we'll still have this situation? Somebody needs to tell me something different.
Well, I don't know. They need to have an emergency situation in place. Right now, as I speak, I have no new Naira notes, and I'm wondering how we're going to go about it. I went to the market yesterday.
Business.
Yeah, went to the market yesterday. I had to wait patiently. Thank God that, you know, the market people were quite trusted. They hadn't seen the alert, but they let me go. I mean, I had to do a transfer. The alert wasn't forthcoming, but they said, Madam, no, it no be you. You will come back again. I said, yes, at least I'm a regular customer here.
Oh.
And they had to do that in good faith.
That's the operative word.
So that is where we are right now. I mean, and we really cannot continue. Look at what Daily Trust has. It's still focusing on the same issue. POS operators hike charges amid Naira note scarcity.
Oh.
Agents charge 1,000 Naira for 10,000 Naira transactions. So we're not making this up. This is not... And these are the experiences of people. People who work in this organization have experienced it. So this is not something that they're cooking up for the front pages. DSS intercepts currency racketeers. Gunmen attack POS operators. Okay. What? That's another perspective. If we can't get it, you know, if we can't pay for it, then we attack the operators, you know, and get it by force. That's another situation.
Now you can imagine, this is what is happening when we're still within this window. What then happens after the deadline? What happens? Well, it's better imagined than experienced.
Gunmen attack POS operators, injure 3 in Bauchi. Why e-payment may not address Naira scarcity? That's according to experts. You find all of it somewhere in the paper. They also have pictures to buttress the story there. The people queuing at ATM banks, you see empty banking halls, you see a picture of an ATM saying, out of service. Please visit one of the other.
As an age-long notice. Even when you were not in this situation, almost if you go to 5 ATMs, 2 or 3
will be out of service.
We'll have this.
So, I mean, nobody really wants to see that now. You look at this. eSwap distributes old Naira notes to passengers in Borno.
What? eSwap?
Lord. Yes, that's also there. Maybe they have to find ways to get rid of the old Naira notes in their possession. Or maybe they're trying to be, I don't know, are they trying to be Robin Hood now? I don't know, but this is what we're seeing. eSwap distributes old Naira notes to passengers in Borno.
How did this happen? I mean,
Nasarawa, how I lost 9 children to air raid after paying 6 million Naira. According to Fulani leader. You might want to see the story on page 3. That story is there. 1.8 trillion naira used vehicles imported into Nigeria from United States in 6 years. So we've imported vehicles worth 1.8 trillion naira. And look at this. Let's not take it with levity. Nigeria is at very high risk of Lassa fever, as according to the NCDC. And this is happening in the dry season. We know that we usually see an uptick of cases of Lassa fever in the dry season, because that's when people are spreading produce on the road for these things to dry, and that's how the rats get access to it. So we're hoping that, things will change, that since we know this year in, year out, that there'll be better methods for rural dwellers to be able to spread their produce and ensure that they keep not just themselves, but even the final consumers of their products safe. Let's leave it there for Daily Trust newspapers.
And flip to the Nigerian News Direct. Nigerian News Direct also covers the challenges with the Naira, but it chooses to lead with something entirely different, but just as important. And the headline goes thus: Boko Haram, international sponsors want to destroy Nigeria. Of course, Mr. President was speaking yesterday, and these are the riders. Vows not to stay beyond May 29. Backs U.S. visa ban on Nigerians sponsoring undemocratic agenda. Now and again, Mr. President has committed to a free and fair democratic process, and has seen in his appending his signature to the Electoral Act. So, of course, we'll see that Mr. President makes good his promise as the coming days approach. Let's go above the nameplates to see some stories this morning. Illegal Naira notes sales. DSS bust syndicate arrests bank officials. So that gives you more insight into this story. So, yeah. Arrests bank officials. Which bank officials? Who are these individuals?
They don't need to make them
the system.
They may not need to make them public yet, but at least there's been an arrest. Aha. Let's begin from somewhere.
Yeah, and it's good you emphasize that it's a matter of prosecution as well.
Exactly,
so they must be prosecuted.
There is a CBN law. There must have been some indictment. There must be some indictment. I mean, come on, I don't even know. Please go on.
And 10% charged by POS operators.
I like Chamberlain's response. Absolutely not. Not a chance.
Okay, look at this one this morning. Just after that one, tribunal verdict. Osun boils as PDP thugs allegedly attack APC candidate, destroy billboards, secretariat. Politics must not be a do or die affair. Anywhere in the world, Nigerian youths must, think beyond, look beyond, the issues and see, what's more important for them. Take hold of their future in this electioneering process. It's really sad when we read stories like this, and the politicians are sitting pretty wherever they are. But just before we exit the Nigerian News Direct, take a look at this one at the bottom strip. TET fund remains live wire of colleges, public tertiary institutions, as ascribed to the COE ASU chair. But how does that amount to stability? How does that amount to the functionality of the tertiary education system in this country? We're still having reports of strikes and lack of, a conducive environment for the lecturers to do their work. So, well, this provides some insight into what really is happening. And just before we exit Nigerian News Direct, Ojuelegba truck accident, just above one of the pictures there. Sanwo-Olu directs trial of truck owner driver. That was a really sad one over the weekend. That accident where a container crushed a bus, and there were some passengers in that bus. It was really tragic. Let's leave it there for the Nigerian News Direct.
This Nigeria newspaper has this one on its front page, and it is something everyone is grappling with all over the nation. Revoke licenses of marketers involved in petrol price hike. Pengerson charges FG, says no justification for high price. CSOs protest fuel hike. There must be a fuel price hike in Benin as private schools shut down operations. Certainly something very, very concerning. The details of that you'll find on the inside pages of the paper this morning. Right under the picture on the front page, DSS EFCC arrests syndicates selling new Naira notes. FCT residents groan over unavailability of new currency. Well, you already heard from our colleagues in Abuja. Marco says she doesn't have. So, is it a good time to call for an SOS? Don't answer that one, Bukola. Well, right beside the nameplate, World Bank commits $200 million to vocational education in Nigeria. Find out the details of that one, among several others, on the front page and on the inside pages of this Nigeria. Somewhere close to the bottom of the page, you'll see this one, Falana. Osun voters should sue INEC for, quote, wasting votes, unquote. The details are on the inside pages. That's this Nigeria newspaper today. And that's the much of the papers we can take this morning. We're back right after now to delve into one of the major issues for the day. Which one? We already talked about it. Stay with us.
This is what they call 21st century. When my customer say I want to use POS, I will just bring out my phone, open the application, use this, press this code. I don't have anyone that using POS anymore.
Long queues at petrol stations have become a regular sight in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. On a daily basis, motorists spend hours at the fuel stations trying to get petrol for their vehicles.
They say they have imported fuel, and the fuel is not here. Whether they have diverted the fuel, we don't know. You can see there's a lot of queue. As you can see now, I've been queuing here more than an hour now. I'm still on the queue. If they have imported fuel, the queue will not be here.
There are some who believe that the situation is politically motivated.
All you are seeing is a political calculation. The money changing and this fuel crisis that we're having, it will make a lot of people to say, oh, APC government has failed, therefore they vote for another party. That is the logic, and nothing more than that.
However, while the queues at the fuel stations persist, black marketers who sell the product in plastic jerry cans at exorbitant prices are having a field day. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited is promising that the situation will soon abate.
At NNPC Limited, we'll continue to play a role as a supplier of energy, of last resort to supply energy to the country. We will continue to ensure that petroleum products are made available.
Nevertheless, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, are putting the blame squarely on the NNPC Limited.
The issue we have now is about short of supplies. That is lack of products. Apart from that, I don't think there is any other thing. Because if you get to the depots, you wouldn't get the product as expected. It's the government that is importing that has not been importing enough. So that's why we have this problem.
For many motorists in Abuja, they look forward to the day when these long queues that have become a regular sight would disappear and petroleum products will be made readily available.
Square in the city, also known as Ring Road. The civil society groups muster here for the protest against the price and scarcity of fuel. The march takes them to the State House of Assembly, demanding audience with the Speaker of the State Assembly.
Whatever product that is due for Edo State is diverted to the independent marketers. That is why the scarcity in Edo State is hitting us so differently from other states.
Government House next stop for the protesters. Things got a bit heated up.
Where are you in Nigeria, and how much a liter do you get fuel? Petrol, to be specific. Well, that's the issue that many people are having to grapple with. And there are those who are saying this is all concocted, it's artificial, it's deliberate, whatever the issues are. At the end of the day, Nigerians are struggling to get fuel at a time like this. What exactly is happening? Well, let's take the perspectives of IPMAN this morning. And Mike Oshatuyi joins us. He's National Operations Controller of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria. Thanks for joining us today.
Good morning.
So,
thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. What is going on?
The issue is that there's no fuel, and my members don't have access to petrol to buy in depots. And it's very bad, very bad. And even me that I'm here, I don't even have to sell. I don't have to sell myself for the past 5 days. So if it can go as bad as that, then you can now imagine what my members are going through.
Well, just to be clear, when you say marketers can't get fuel to buy, what do you mean? Is it that the NNPC doesn't have fuel to supply, or what exactly is the problem?
NNPC is the sole monopoly of importation of petrol to the country. And they have the knife and they have the yam. So, and what you have is what you can give. But we don't have access to it to buy. And they don't give us directly. We buy from third parties. My member nationwide buy from third parties. And they said they're going to give us a depot price, but we don't have access to it. Even the new man that just came on board, the MD of NNPC Retail, Mr. Stockman, he agreed to work with us before, but he backed out after about 2-3 weeks. And because there's supposed to be a synergy between IPMAN and whoever is giving the product out. But, it's bad. It's bad.
It's curious that IPMAN is also saying that they don't have the product, because it's the same thing major marketers are saying, that they don't have enough of the products to lift from the depot. But the NMDPR, the regulatory authority, clarified over the weekend that they have 1 billion liters of the product in stock. And, the scarcity is caused by those who are sabotaging the system and smuggling the product out of the country. So what really is the case? If NMDPR says they have enough in supply and marketers are saying they don't have.
In fact, it's not even 1.1 billion. It's 1.6 billion liters. But if they have the product, then where is the product? It can be on the high sea, or in fact, or whatever they say they have it. But we don't have access to it. It's as bad as that. If I was coming this morning, there's queue left and center. And if we have
queues at which center? The depots, you mean?
Sorry?
Queues. You said there are queues.
Petrol
stations.
Go left as 5 a.m. So it's as bad as that. And if they have fuel, let them give it to us. We are ready to sell. We are businessmen. We cannot be keeping stock in our stations without selling. We are to turn over. But my members buy. In fact, now we call it see and buy. See and buy is that whenever you see it, you buy at any price.
So what's the situation as well with the official pump price? On Friday, the Minister of State for Petroleum said government has not adjusted the petrol price. But in the clarification provided by the NMDPR on Saturday, it says that no one should sell above the officially adjusted price of 185 naira per litre. So what exactly is the case? Did NMDPR meet with major marketers and adjusted the price to suit the marketers?
The midstream and downstream authority, they are regulator. They're not the importer or people that distribute the fuel. You know, the case is very bad. If the Nigeria president can set up a committee to be to be supplying and distributing petrol, it's not good for the country. Because if the Nigeria president can now share in a committee to be distributing products is bad. It means that NNPC and whoever they are fairly free.
We'll come to that committee issue. But there is this statement, you know, it kind of follow up to the previous question Bukola asked you. Pengasam put out a statement on that, says, from data available to us from our members, there are over 30 days petrol sufficiency in the country. Hence, there is no basis for the current scarcity. They went on to say that we hereby call on the management of NMDPRA to compel all marketers and retailers to make the products available at approved price.
Both Pegasen and Upeng, they are also involved. Because even my members in the depot, they pay as high as 3 naira per litre.
300 naira.
300 per litre for union dues. Is that one that money we paid is in?
Sorry, just to be clear. 3 naira or 300 naira?
3 naira.
3 naira per
per litre as union dues. So where do you put it, that one? So there's problem in the system unless we all come together and discuss of this, because there's rent, there's arbitrage in the whole system from beginning to the end, and people abuse the system. Yes, you mentioned about.
Are you saying that these charges are illegal?
Yes, they're illegal. You can't go. They will hold your truck. That you cannot move your truck unless you pay this money. You pay a spot. So where do we put that? That
charge.
That charge.
So just to be clear, this is, you say this. Which associations are these?
Nupeng.
Only Nupeng or Nupeng?
Nupeng. I'm saying it. Okay. They can come here and debunk my statement.
Okay.
Just to be clear, did you confirm that there was an official adjustment of the price to 185 naira per litre?
Yes, that's true. But you see, my members now, they get so many prices based on the region. Like Lagos, they give us at 173. But we don't even have it to, in fact, we don't even have access to the product. And my members, if they even pay to the porter, you're not even sure of when to lift it. So, and if you take a bank loan and you pay 1 month, 2 months, you cannot access the product. Why do you have to pay? In fact, in Port Calabar, they pay as high as 183 as official price in court. But you don't see it to buy. As at yesterday, my members buy as high as 310 per litre in depot.
Well, so when you say they can't see it to buy, to use your words, and then you're saying that they still buy at 300 naira per litre, please explain.
We call it black market. See and buy, right?
Where do they get this see and buy that you're talking about? Where?
It's not a hidden issue. It's probably the old depots.
We don't know.
Go and investigate. We have depot. We have 173 or 180. That man depot in the whole country. So don't say you don't.
So essentially, you're saying that there are marketers that sell these products, but then there are others that hoard it. Is that what you're saying?
No. The issue I'm saying is that NNPC should give us this product directly to us. Why do you have to go through? Top to go and buy. But they will not give us. And they will come out with. If they have done well, we president set up a committee where the president of Nigeria will be the chairman of committee to distribute fuel. It means they are failed. They are failed. That's the truth. It's a very high power committee, and I think they're going to. This week.
We also understand that there are some critical stakeholders that are complaining that they are not involved in it. Is IPMAN a member of that committee?
No. You see, let me say to Nigerians, this committee is main government officials committee. But there's no way they are going to work without involving the operators and the stakeholders. But I believe the committee for president to be the chairman of the committee, it must be a very serious assignment. No. And the president is concerned. Yeah. Well, they can't work without us.
Well, yes, but
we are going to give them the data, the information.
Yes, fine.
To work. And then we are going to make sure that this committee work and Nigeria have fuel at a very good price.
So you don't think that an Ipman, a Moman, a Pengasan, or the distributors, you know, you don't think they need to be members of that committee?
I mean, no, I'm sure they're going to be a subcommittee that's going to, because they cannot work, they are not the operator. They have to work with us. We have to give them information. But the system is rotten from beginning to the end. I'm saying to Nigerian, to the whole world. So if we want it to be okay, then we tell them what to do.
What about the report or the position expressed by NMDPR that some, marketers are smuggling the product out of the country and it is responsible for the scarcity? How true is that?
It's very true, but it takes two to tango. That's why I said the system is rotten, because we have so many agencies in the border. We have customs, we have immigration, we have police, we have civil defense, right? If man don't drive trucks, members don't drive trucks. We have truck drivers who are members of NUPAC. So it takes two to tango. So if it's a fact that Nigeria is the one servicing the neighboring countries for petrol. It's true. That's why we are saying that they should regulate, because there's rent, there's arbitrage. If you buy a fuel here for 5 million and you take it across the border, you save 50 million. It takes grace of God, not for you to do it.
So who are those perpetrating this act? Are they among Ipman or Morman or the other retailers?
I'm saying it takes two to tango, right? Truck your petrol is not a need that you could just put in your pocket and just walk away. So if I told people want to take it out, and the government officials at the border said no, stop them, then it will not go.
Okay. Just to be clear on this particular issue, who are the people? You said that the tanker drivers are members of NUPENG, right? Now,
and they're also members of NSC. Yes.
Okay. So which associations or agencies do you think are part of this racket that you're talking about? You've mentioned NUPENG, you've mentioned NLC, but just to be specific.
It's a chain.
Okay.
It's a chain. It's a chain. That's why I said...
Take us through that chain.
We need to... Right? I'm telling people that are involved in petroleum products that this thing is not hidden. It's not hidden. Right? Even press can even go and do the investigation.
No, if you say it is not hidden, and you've mentioned NUPENG and you've mentioned NLC, which other associations or bodies are part of it?
In any system, you have bad eggs. And we have good people that are remarketers, that take product from depots and take to the station and sell. There's no any system that you don't have bad eggs. So the bad egg among the stakeholders and the operators are the one in this business. So, and even people that are not, who are not the marketers, but they cash on the lacuna, on the hole, and they are making business.
My question, Mr. Shatui, is, I agree with you that it's only something that can be done by bad eggs and all of that, but, talking about the process, you said it's a chain. I don't know if there are NUPENG members or NUPENG as an association that can afford to buy a truck of fuel for 5 million naira to take it across the border. Or is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is that if we buy fuel from depots, we take it to the stations. But there are some other people that divert, that they're not even marketers. That was why I said that if they give this product to us directly, we can be held accountable. But they don't, and that is the problem. And
who are these people that divert?
People that divert, they're Nigerians. I said the bad eggs. But if we sit down and say, okay, we are giving this 1 million liters to Ipman, for example, then you say, okay, who are the people that are going to give this product to? Then we use them A, B, C, D, and we track it we ensure that this fuel get to our stations. We know we know ourselves. They say tortoise knows where to buy 3 tortoise.
But Nigerians is a blanket statement, you know. It has to be some people within the supply chain who somehow have some business to do with the supply, the distribution, or the purchase of petroleum products. So, as my colleague asked, Ayo, are they NUPEG members or Pengerson members or Mormon or Ipman?
We have so many people that have already encroached into the operation of petroleum distribution that are not even our members. That's why he said that if you give this product to members of Ipman, right, not the whole system, but Mormon, this is your own, that man is your own, Ipman is your own. Then we can able to track the one that is belong to us and ensure that this fair to Nigerians. And we cannot account for Mormon or that man. We are Ipman. But when you make everything loose, then there's a problem. But I believe Nigerians that things will be okay.
Well, clearly you don't want to give us names or names of any association, but you have already mentioned 1 or 2. Now, you also mentioned the fact that there are people at the borders, you know, officials of government at the borders, who are supposed to do due diligence by ensuring that these trucks don't go out. Since you say it is not hidden, and these things are definitely encroaching on national security and all of that, is there any comment or statement that Ipman as a body has put to the authorities to say, look, this is happening, we need to put a stop to it?
I think maybe you have forgotten there was one custom officer that made an outburst about some months ago that arrested some trucks. And even the guy was even punished for even exposing the people who are smuggling. You are aware, right? And when there's, we have saboteurs in the system.
Right? Where in the system?
In the chain. I mean, trucks that go out of the country, is it fresh? No. So people are to man the border, but they fail to do their job because of money. That's the truth.
Do you believe the NMDPR has the wherewithal to regulate as much as, you know, going to the borders and intercepting and arresting those who are smuggling the product out of the country?
That's not the job of mainstream downstream authority. They regulate the downstream and mainstream. We have agencies that are saddled with this job, which is the custom, the immigration, what they are being paid for by the government. So what is their job? There's collusion. And we have to be patriotic, we have to sit down and stop it. Thank God that the CG of Custom is in the committee. The chairman of FCC is in the committee. I think we are going to get there if and only if they involve the stakeholders and the operators.
Now, let's talk about that. Earlier, when you responded to that, you said that the solutions are with stakeholders such as your body, Moman, Pengerson, and the rest of them. What are the recommendations you think government has been losing sight of that if it is implemented, this issue will be put to rest permanently? Because, I mean, I look back to maybe the past few years, we haven't had this kind of fuel scarcity in a little while. So what, in your opinion, is responsible for it this time that this committee has to address to end it once and for all?
Yeah, pending, thank God that the most contenders for the presidency in this combination have said individually that they are going to regulate. And even the current president said that by June, they will remove subsidy. So it means that we are getting to, in another 4 or 5 months, we are getting to the end of this problem. The solution is to regulate. If you open up the market, let ABC also involved in importation and distribution, then there won't be any monopoly. There will be fairness, there will be competition, there won't be corruption. In fact, the system is corrupt from beginning to the end.
Are you?
And yes, when you have a monopoly system, there won't be corruption. There won't be fairness. There won't be openness. So because you can decide to give the whole product to one company, only because you have the power.
Are you indicting the NNPCL in all of this?
I said the whole system. I said the whole system.
No, but you just talked about a monopoly now, and you, as you said earlier, the NNPC is the only one that
there's no any system where we have a monopoly that there's no rent that arbitrage. Go and check in the whole world. You monopolize the whole country to one system, and you say that with fairness. So let them open up the market. I agreed that when they regulate, Nigeria has to pay more price. Yes, but if
what's the difference now? How much would now be the price of petrol be realistic for purchase if Nigerians are paying between 300 and 500 naira per liter?
Yeah, if based on the template as at yesterday or 2 days ago, if they regulate and we are even buying through spot purchase, the selling price will be around 650 per liter. If at 754 naira to $1, and at $80 per barrel. But you know, the dollar fluctuates, and then the crude price also doesn't stay. It can go to $100 or come down. So, but it's going to be ondulating. But as at yesterday or 2 days ago, it's around 650 pump price if they degrade. But when people are also buying 500 naira, 400 all over, I mean, it's like taking fuel from Lagos to Ekiti now is 1.5 million naira per truck. 1.5. That's about 36 naira per 30 something naira on as additional cost to whatever price. If a member buy at 310 or 315 and they're able to even transfer at 36 naira, that's about 350 or 3. So what price would they say? It's B plus X, and X can be any price, depending on the area.
So which areas are worst hit as we speak now? Because Edo State, of course, as you heard earlier, one woman with her child, or children, was in the car for 6 hours. And in Lagos, the situation is no different. I've had my fair share of queuing. I don't know about you, as well. So what then would be the fair price in different regions of the country?
The whole country, there's a problem. It varies. You can say 400 somewhere, you can say 500 somewhere. The system is bad. Unless we discuss and look for a solution. I think in interim, pending when...
I asked you that question the other time of what are the solutions that you would be providing you think that we have to stand. You've only mentioned deregulation, but is that a silver bullet?
When they give the freight to us directly, the price will crash. I'm not granting the official price of 189, 120 because of the transport element and all these union dues and all these charges. Yes, but it will crash to a very reasonable price. But when you don't give for directly,
what would be the reasonable price?
If you are still buying at 200, it's still not bad.
Okay, which is why I want to ask what the role of the third party you talk about is in the supply chain. You say they give the fuel to the third party.
The third party, they are the DAPA people. They give them PFI. Right? They give them PFI, and they have their own problem. Because the template itself is old. The template is supposed to be reviewed. Where you are paying about $20,000 for any vessel before, is that $70,000. So, and they can be there for about 10, 15 days before they can load. So they borrow money from bank. I mean, not have to defend that man, but at the same time, I'm a businessman. We are businessmen in Ipman. So we have to also know that they have their problem. Okay. But even access PFI is a problem.
Okay. Well, there's more, on this conversation because it is something that is biting everyone real hard. But we'll step up on that when we return from this break. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Well, Mr. Oshatu is still here. He is the National Operations Controller for IPMAN. Again, Mr. Oshatu, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, you wanted to give us some recommendations that this committee should consider. What are the issues that they're going to address? I mean, you've talked about monopoly. You've talked about the need for deregulation. What are those issues that you think, if the that committee, as you say, chaired by the president, is at the forefront of it, this issue would be put to rest finally?
Well, the first thing is for the committee, because I can see that the job has been taken over now for NNPC based on the money of the committee, because the committee is to supply, distribute, and ensure that Nigerians are not exploited. They have to embark on massive importation to wet the system. And the DG Custom must do his job. The FCC chairman also must do his job in ensuring that there's no racketeering, there's no diversion, and then let the product stay in Nigeria. At least if not 100%, let about 95% stay in Nigeria, so that Nigeria can enjoy the subsidy that we are paying for. If we are spending about 7 trillion to subsidize in the country, and Nigerians are not benefiting, it's criminal. Mm. Yes, they said that 6 months, 3.something trillion. It's small money. But the money countries and individuals are enjoying this because of the failure of some agencies, like the custom immigration. They're supposed to stop this smuggling.
Besides that, your colleagues also complain about the scarcity of forex. What would you be recommending to the committee in that regard to address this?
Well, it's 2 issues. The price I give to that time, 650, is if you are buying black market rate of 754. But if we are buying a CBN rate of 460, Nigeria may enjoy 500 naira pump price.
You call 500 naira enjoyment?
No, because if they give us the foreign exchange, we cannot eat our cake and have it. If we are paying for more, then there will be more money for the government, and government now must ensure that this income is channeled towards infrastructures that will benefit Nigerians, like rail, good road, so many things.
2 things that I want to take you up on very quickly before we close. There are those who say Nigeria enjoys about one of the lowest fuel pump prices in the world. Do you agree with them?
Yeah, I agree with that, but I agree with that because it's a function of the crude price and our exchange rate. So those 2 factors has to be embedded before you talk of pump price. Pump price can go to 800 naira per litre if and only if the crude goes to about 110, 120 barrel per barrel. So if it goes up, then we have no choice.
Okay.
To pay more?
Yes, if we regulate, yes.
But when it now comes down,
we also have to. In fact, we can even buy as low as 2.
But that's the point. In South Africa, they just enjoyed a reduction, even though marginally, in the price of petrol. And South Africa buys crude oil from Nigeria and other countries that produce crude oil. So if South Africa is enjoying a reduction, why is Nigeria paying more?
It depends. It depends on the exchange rate. It depends on the value of our naira to dollar. Okay. So if now we are buying 754 naira now, if it now go to 800, 850, 900 that it was last year, October, November, then you expect an increase in price.
Okay, quick one. The president is the one chairing this committee, just as you said.
Yeah.
Do you see a role for state governments in this chain? Because, as you said, it's a monopoly. It's all federal government. Do you see a role that state governments can play in this entire chain to, simmer down this whole challenge?
The state governments are represented by the committee, by the 14-man committee, so they have no any role. The DG Custom represent the whole 36. The chairman FCC represent the whole state, and the people that are in the committee, I think they have.
I'm not talking about the committee. I'm talking about the entire chain.
No, it's not about the state.
Yeah.
The state have no any role in this time. than to also support the government in whichever way they can support, right, in ensuring that the Nigerians don't suffer in this war. I call it war because it has become war. So when people are staying about a whole day in the station, it's not reasonable.
Most
it's
certainly.
abnormal.
Yeah, something very, very concerning. We can only wait and hope that bodies such as yourself and everyone else in the chain will help Nigerians live a better life, because the year is just young.
Yeah, just to add that the NMDPR2 also needs to clarify if it has 1.6 billion liters of petroleum products, and Moman and Ipman are saying that they don't have the product in supply. So we need to know exactly what is happening.
Absolutely. Mr. Michael Shatui is National Operations Controller. Ipman joins us here in Lagos. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. There's more after this break. Please stay with us.
Welcome back. As you've seen, Mr. Festus Okoye joins us next as we discuss election matters. Good morning, and thank you for coming on today.
Yeah, good morning.
Well, first of all, let's start off with what you had referred to last week about this high-level meeting that INEC was prepared to have with NNPC. Now, we know the country is currently grappling with fuel shortage, currency, different challenges. Are these going to affect the elections, or has that meeting held, or what's going to happen? What's the consideration at the moment?
Well, the meeting we hold today,
okay.
The chairman of the commission, we hold a high-level meeting with the leadership of the National Union of Road Transport Workers from all over the Federation today. Then thereafter, they will go into this meeting with the leadership of the NNPC. Now, the point here is that for the 2023 general election, we are going to deploy over 1.2 million ad hoc staff. And these ad hoc staff have to be moved to the 176,846 polling units across the Federation. And we have to also engage in reverse logistics to move them back to the 8,809 registration areas for purposes of collation of results, and also move them to the 774 local government areas of the Federation. So what that means is that we are going to need vehicles, and we are going to hire these vehicles from the National Union of Road Transport Workers. We are going to also consult with the National Association of Road Transport Owners and also with the various marine unions. And we need fuel to move these for these vehicles to function. So what part of the things we are looking at is to have dedicated filling stations on election day, where some of these transporters can go in, buy fuel, and then be in a position to perform the electoral functions that we've assigned to them.
1.2 million ad hoc staff.
Yes.
That is a lot of people. What precisely are they? What are the different types of jobs available for that? And for people who are looking to be, I don't know if you already hired them, because there's some people who will be wondering, I'd like to be a member of INEC's ad hoc staff. How do I get involved?
No, it's not everybody that is qualified to act as an ad hoc staff of the commission. There are different levels of election duty staff that we recruit. For the purposes of polling unit on election day, as I pointed out, we have 176,846 polling units. We are going to have 4 ad hoc staff per polling unit. We are going to have the presiding officer on election day, and also 3 assistant presiding officers who are going to perform different functions on election day. Then we are also going to have what those we call supervisory presiding officers. These are the ones who are going to supervise the various registration areas, take control of election materials, distribute these election materials to the various ad hoc staff. And then we're also going to have collation officers in the 8,809 registration areas. And we're also going to have collation officers in the 774 local government areas of the Federation. And then we are now going to have both collation and returning officers for different levels of election. And then we are going to also have election duty security personnel in all the polling units. So when you put all of them together, they come to over 1.2 million.
The security personnel are from within, amongst the ad hoc staff, or they are from from the security agencies?
They are part of the various security agencies. The Nigerian police is the lead agency in terms of election security, but because of the paucity of personnel, they also draw from the Nigerian customs, draw from immigration, draw from other security agencies to beef up their number, especially for the purposes of giving some level of protection to the various polling units.
You count them among the 1.2 million ad hoc staff?
Yes.
Okay, so have you hired the ad hoc staff already? Are they already being trained, or where precisely are we with them?
The bulk of our presiding officers are drawn from the pool of corps members, serving corps members, giving priority, and then corps members that have just finished their service are also recruited. Then for assistant presiding officer 1, 2, and 3, we draw them from students of federal tertiary institutions in their penultimate year. So these are the ones who form the bulk of our ad hoc staff. For the purposes of supervisory presiding officers, we draw them from the pool of staff from federal agencies, commissions, and parastatals. And we screen them properly. So the training of these ad hoc staff will begin on the 9th of February.
We had questions and concerns about ad hoc staffs, because many ask, look, in the event that, because several cases come through time and again, and ad hoc staffs always have huge mention in a lot of these scenarios, is there any consideration, or what is it, if there is, that INEC thinks in terms of perhaps holding them a lot more accountable to their jobs, as it were?
Well, the Electoral Act 2022 has made it very clear that if you elect to serve as an ad hoc staff, because serving as an ad hoc staff is a voluntary thing, if you elect to serve as an ad hoc staff, you must subscribe to oath of neutrality and also oath of allegiance. Not only that, there are very stiff penalties prescribed in the Electoral Act for electoral malfeasance. So we try to train the ad hoc staff and train them well. In fact, we are beginning on the 9th because we want to give them a longer training and more robust training, especially in terms of election technologies and also their responsibilities on election day. And we are going to also hold them responsible for whatever goes wrong at the level of the polling unit. And so we want to make it very clear to them so that any of them that does not have both the mental, psychological, and emotional stability to withstand the heat in terms of the penalties prescribed for electoral offenses, will be advised to pull out from performing such a function.
So in terms of holding them accountable, is there a window? Because when they finish their job for that election and they go, and litigation comes through much later, do they come back? Will they still be liable after the election, or what?
Definitely they will still be liable, because these are corps members who are still some of them are still in camp. So we liaise with the leadership of the NYSC in terms of harvesting them for purposes of electoral duty. Now, they also apply through our portal to serve as ad hoc staff. Not only that, we also issue them with letters of engagement. There's a contract between them and the commission, specifying very clearly their responsibilities, their entitlements, and also the commission's responsibilities towards them. And this is made clear to them that they will be required to come and account for their actions, both during and after the election. So there's no hiding place for any ad hoc staff that misbehaves.
Okay, now we know that you have extended the collection of PVCs.
Yes.
There were complaints about that. So now that that has happened, perhaps, we don't know, is it too early to get a feel in terms of what kind of successes are you recording concerning the reason why that extension happened in the first place?
Well, we have recorded huge successes. In so many of the states, the collection of PVC is almost completed. We had the challenges in a few states, states like Lagos, Oyo, Osun, Ebonyi, and Imo. In some of these states, our offices were burnt, and we had to reprint some of the permanent voters' cards that were burnt. In some of the places also, we created a portal through which our electoral officers and resident electoral commissioners impute the cards we omitted to print. For instance, in the, immediately after the extension, we trucked in over 72,000 cards to Oyo State. We sent in around 65 to Osun State, around 35,000 to Ebonyi, and around 18,000 to Imo. We have been getting daily and weekly reports on progress of collection, and we are really, really excited at the level of enthusiasm that the Nigerian people have shown in terms of the collection of these PVCs.
How about Lagos?
Lagos is doing well at this particular moment, and you know Lagos and Kano have a huge population in terms of the number of registered voters. There are 2 or 3 local governments that had issues, and the resident electoral commissioner has been directed to pay special attention to those local governments, and also the supervising national commissioner will be in Lagos any moment from now to lead the charge in relation to those I think three local governments or so where we have challenges, and also to find out why we are having challenges in those local governments. And so we are paying special attention to Lagos.
Because I know that the Big Tent, led by Professor Patotomi, I don't know if you heard some of their suggestions in terms of how these PVCs, how they think it can be distributed. So I'm not sure if we have that on cue so that we could listen to it and let Mr. Okoye respond to what they say in the meeting they had yesterday about distribution of the permanent voter cards. Okay, we understand it's not on cue yet.
We don't, as an electoral management body, distribute permanent voters' cards. We make permanent voters' cards available for collection by those who registered, and that is the law. If you look at the law, the Electoral Act 2022, the proprietary right in the permanent voters' card resides with the Commission. And the Commission is the only agency, the only commission, and the only organ given the power to design, print, and control the issuance of permanent voters' cards. So if you took the time to go and register, we also expect that you should make out time and come and collect your PVCs. We do not want our PVCs to fall into the wrong hands, and that's part of the challenge we have. There's a case in Enugu State that we're investigating at the moment relating to someone that was found with a catch of permanent voters' cards in a primary school, collecting money for purposes of before giving people their cards. And the viral video we saw claimed that the individual was a staff of the commission. We've conducted preliminary investigation, and we found out that the individual, the lady involved, is not a staff of the commission. Now, what we are trying to deduct and find out now is how she came about the cards she was distributing. And so we have pulled in all our staff from that particular local government to the headquarters in Enugu. For us to find out how she came about those cards. And so we do not want a situation where our cards will fall into the, where permanent voters' cards will be in the wrong hands. And that's why we are not distributing. We are making the cards available for collection.
So that is not an option, their suggestion, the Big Tent suggestion.
It's really not an option. And I saw that they were also suggesting that people do not really need to vote with their permanent voters' card. But that is not the law. This commission is a constitutional and legal body, and the law is to the effect that whoever comes to the polling unit for purposes of voting must come to the polling unit with his or her permanent voter's card. That is the law, and that's the whole intendment of Section 47, subsection 1 of the Electoral Act. And so, if you want people to go to the polling units without their permanent voters' card, you have to go back to the National Assembly and get the constitutive electoral legal framework amended for that to happen. But as of today, you must appear before the polling units with your permanent voters' card.
Well, a card will be whatever it is that the commission determines that it is.
Yes.
Isn't that correct?
Definitely, yes.
So, I mean, if the commission determines that a number which you simply have, I mean, which must be called off or called up on that particular card is sufficient for you to register, wouldn't that be a card? After all, what it's meant to do is identify and make sure that you are the person on that particular, with that particular number. Isn't that what it's meant to do?
No, if you look at the law itself, it makes it clear that the commission shall design, print, and control the issuance of permanent voters' cards. And that the proprietary right in the permanent voters' card, so there's a permanent voters' card.
Does it mention permanent voters' card?
It mentions the voters' card.
Indeed.
So we determine what a voters' card is.
Indeed.
And we have determined the nature and the design of our voters' card and what you have to go to the polling unit on election day with. There's a possibility that with the advances in terms of technology and with the way we are inputting technology into the electoral process, that in future, after the 2023 general election, there's a possibility that you don't need your permanent voters card for purposes of voting in any election. Because as of today, the data of each registered voter in Nigeria now resides in the BVAS. Prior to this particular period, when we were using the smart card reader, the data of each registered voter resides in the permanent voters card. But now the data resides in the BVAS. So what we do is to just take the last 6 digits of your VIN number in order to call up your data from the BVAS. So after the 2023 general election, we will sit down as a commission and then make a determination whether you can just go to the polling unit with your driver's license or with your international passport and so on and so forth and vote, so long as you can remember your VIN number. And so these are reforms that we can undertake. But as of today, you must have a permanent voter's card to approach the presiding officer.
All right, that sounds interesting. So I guess that's for future elections. But there's still a lot of grounds to cover, but we'll do that when we return in just a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Well, we've got a question for you, Mr. Okoye, about PVC collection. This one is coming through from Wanze Anthony. He says, good morning. Please let me tell Mr. Okoye that since 2018, I registered. I'm still unable to collect my PVC as a Sunday, despite my visits to INEC office. Attached is my details. He said he just has to vote. So that's Wanze Anthony E. His voter ID number ends with 194, his River State, Obiakpo local government area, and his polling unit code, all there. What should he do?
Well, what he should do is to just go to our local government office and fill the necessary form and make the necessary report.
That's INEC local government office.
INEC local government office. And then if his PVC has not been printed, then we'll quickly print the PVC and take it back to the local government. But I'm going to collect the details and then run it on our process and see what really is the problem.
Okay, because on ID by now it means that he should have gotten his PVC.
Yes, definitely, yes.
All right. Okay, maybe I should just leave. We'll get to take some of these other ones that are just trying to download about BVC.
Yeah.
Asking how is it sure that BBC accredited him on this one. But I know you have a lot of questions. I mean, there are lots of concerns about BVAS, actually, in terms of its operation. So maybe you should just tell us now, because for those who think that having seen the impressions they get about the judgments, the overvoting questions, are there challenges from your perspective about the use of BVAS? What is it that they need to know about questions concerning functionality of the BVAS machine?
What the commission needs to do and what the commission is doing is making sure that the ad hoc staff that have been given the responsibility of operating the BVAS understand the BVAS and understand its functionality and are comfortable with the BVAS. That's why We are going to start our trainings early. We are going to give them longer training. And we are also going to make sure that only those who are trained appear at the level of the polling units on election day, and that there's no swap between those who were trained and those who were not trained. That is one. Secondly, as you pointed out when we started, this commission is going to carry out what we call mock accreditation in all the states of the Federation and in all the senatorial districts. The purpose of this mock accreditation is also to enable the commission test some of the upgrades we carried out in relation to the BVAS and also in relation to its functionality. We have chosen urban polling units, we've chosen semi-urban polling units, and we've chosen rural polling units. So we are going to test the BVAS in all these locations. And also, we are also going to do upload, not with a real result, but we are going to do upload from rural areas, from semi-urban centers, and from urban centers, to be sure that all the major networks we are going to use for result upload are dominant in those areas where we are going to use them. We are going to use MTN, we are going to use Glo, we are going to use Airtel and the other networks, and we deploy them to where they are strong. So that's exactly what we are going to do during this particular period. What is important is that the law has made it clear. Section 47, subsection 2 of the Electoral Act is clear. You must use the BVAS for voter accreditation and authentication. But technology can aid the growth of the electoral process. Technology alone does not conduct any election. Human beings do conduct election. And one of the things that the law has also made clear is that when you deploy technology, when you deploy staff, that there's a shared responsibility in terms of packaging a good election. And political parties are part of those institutions that must also pay attention to the electoral process. And that's why the law gives every registered political party, in consultation with their candidates, the power and the leeway to deploy polling agents, or what in popular parlance we call party agents, to all the polling units in Nigeria, to all the collation centers in Nigeria, to serve as their ears and their eyes in all these places. If a political party, and we have 18 political parties in Nigeria as of today, if the 18 of them deploy their polling agents to each polling unit, what that means is that we are going to have 18 polling agents in one polling unit, and nothing can go wrong. So I think that
nothing should go wrong.
Nothing should go wrong. I completely agree. So I think that we should also pay attention to mandate protection, and also to making sure that we pay attention to what happens on election day to make sure that nothing goes wrong.
You've talked about the mock accreditation and the voter, and it's a voter exercise going to happen on Saturday. And I'm wondering, how aware are the people for those polling units where the exercise is going to happen? Are they already sufficiently aware that their polling units have been chosen as part of the polling units to take part in the exercise?
Yes, my answer is yes, because the electoral officers in the various local governments, in consultation with the resident electoral commissioners, chose those polling units. And they have been advised and they have been mandated to make sure that in those polling units, that they go around, meet with the traditional rulers, meet with the religious leaders, meet with youth groups, meet with women's groups, and also use our vans to sensitize people on the fact that their polling unit has been chosen for purposes of mock accreditation.
In Abuja here, let's take
Yes.
an instance.
Yes.
I mean, how are you getting the message across, and what polling units have you picked?
I don't have the polling units offered, but we picked for each, Abuja is one senatorial district, and we are going to do the mock accreditation in four local governments.
4 polling units, you said?
Yes. No, in four local governments. For each state of the Federation,
yes,
we are going to do it for each senatorial district, we are going to choose 2 local governments.
Okay.
So there will be 2 12 places in each state of the federation. In Abuja, there will be 4, based on the 109 senatorial districts. So it is the responsibility of the resident electoral commissioner for the FCT, in consultation with the electoral officers, to determine the polling units that will be used for this purpose.
Have they been determined already?
They have been determined already and published, and on our website.
Oh, okay. So people can go to the website just in case they're not certain, you know, if their polling unit is among it, or if they have not heard the announcement anyway, to check if their polling unit, you know, happens to be among those, you know, that will be partaking in the mock exercise. What sort of, I don't want to say what sort of results are you expecting, but what else will you be testing apart from the upgrade? Are you also going to be testing how long it would take, for instance, for results to come in at the end of the day?
Yes, we are testing everything. One, we want to see how, we want to test the sensitivity of the beavers in terms of how it recognizes elderly people, in terms of the configuration of the face for different categories of individuals. We also want to test the sensitivity of the fingerprint identification and also the facial identification. And we also want to test the strength of the various networks in both the urban centers, in the semi-urban centers, and also in the rural areas.
You say something to the effect that training for ad hoc officers are going to start on the 9th of February.
Yes.
This exercise is going to happen this Saturday. What officers are you using to conduct the exercise?
To conduct the
mock exercise?
We are going to use our own staff to conduct the exercise.
Okay.
Yes.
So tell us then, what is the Commission thinking about this question of overvoting that seems to be dominant after the Osun Judgment Tribunal?
Well, I'm a senior lawyer, and I will be very, very reluctant to even mention the issue of Osun or even comment in relation to Osun governorship election. But the law is very, very clear. The law envisages a situation that there's a possibility that there can be overvoting in any electoral process. And what the law says is that if there's overvoting in any polling unit, that the presiding officer shall cancel the result of that particular polling unit, or that the result of that particular polling unit shall be cancelled. And how do we measure overvoting against the background of the Electoral Act 2022? We measure overvoting against the background of the number of accredited voters. So if the number of persons that voted in the election are more than the number of accredited voters, what that means is that there has been an overvoting, and the result should be cancelled. And the law says that if the result is cancelled, that the Commission will go back and conduct a fresh poll in the affected polling unit. However, if putting all the affected polling units in terms of overvoting will not affect the outcome of the election, that the Commission can go ahead and make a declaration. What I mean by this is this. If, for instance, in an election, a governorship candidate secures 100,000 votes, and then the second person secures 90,000 votes. And then when you put all the figures in relation to overvoting, the number of accredited voters where overvoting took place, if you put all of them together and you get, for instance, 12,000 votes, if you add those 12,000 votes to the votes of the person who came second, the person will overtake the one who came first. In that instance, we will go back and conduct fresh poll in all the affected polling units. But if the total number of votes involved is around 9,000, for instance, if you add the 9,000 votes to the votes of the person who came second, the person who came first will still be leading. In which case, we will go ahead and announce the results without going back to go and conduct fresh polls. That, for me, is what the law is what the law says, and my own understanding of the law. And so there's a possibility that overvoting can occur. There is no nothing that is cast in stone that says that overvoting cannot occur. A rogue presiding officer may connive with a political party and drop one single ballot in the ballot box, and that will create overvoting. And that is why you need the polling agents at the level of the polling units to also see what is going on. And I say this because the law is clear that you thumbprint in secret and you vote in public. That is what is called open secret ballot. And the law is that to the effect that when the presiding officer comes and wants to start the conduct of elections, the presiding officer must show to all present the empty ballot box and must keep the ballot box in the field view of the people until the elections are over. That is the way the law catches it. And so we don't have a choice in terms of how we place the ballot box on election day. So I think that the vigilance of the people is also key to preventing incidents of overvoting.
All right, let me bring my colleagues from Lagos.
Chamberlain, just a quick one, Mr. Okoye. Too many questions, buzzing in my head now. Maybe if you can do this in 60 seconds, because there are a number of other things to raise. How does overvoting happen with beavers? Because the understanding I have is that without the beavers, without accreditation through the beavers, you cannot vote. So how does overvoting happen?
That's exactly what I have tried to explain. When a voter gets to the polling unit, the presiding officer will collect the voters' PVC, check the last 6 digits of the PVC, cross-check the voters' register to make sure that the person is a registered voter, and then the voters' thumbprint will be checked against the beavers. If the thumbprint passes, the person will be given a ballot paper to go and vote. If the fingerprint does not pass, the voters' facials will be checked, and if it passes, the person will be asked to go and vote. The point I'm making is that there's a possibility that a political party or an individual or a candidate or anyone can connive with a presiding officer, and then one single ballot paper will be taken out without the person being accredited and dropped inside the ballot box, and that will create an incident
I guess that also means.
But in terms of the
just a second, because we're running out of time. That perhaps says that INEC needs to firm up some arrangements to ensure that this doesn't happen, because the belief is that beavers is supposed to checkmate overvoting. But then, I mean, you already said you don't want to get into the melee about the judgment, but that judgment seems to have been concluded. An appeal maybe has started or not. The final statement of that tribunal is that INEC should make a declaration of the other candidate. What's the position of INEC on that?
No, the law as of today, the law as I know it, is to the effect that the commission cannot issue any individual with a certificate of return until the person who lost at the level of the election petition tribunal has exhausted a period of 21 days. The law is to the effect that the individual should remain in office for 21 days. If after 21 days the person does not appeal the judgment, then the commission will issue a certificate of return to the person the tribunal says won the election. So 21 days must elapse before the commission can take any action. If the person appeals within a period of 21 days, then the process of the appeal must run its course before any other thing can happen.
Mr. Okoye, if beavers then is not fail-safe, if it can be compromised at the level of voting by INEC officials, then it then means that the fear expressed in some quarters that the RATEX too can be compromised by politicians is also very valid. I wonder if INEC is getting wind of that information. And if that is true, if that fear is also valid, what is INEC doing to prevent that in the coming elections?
Well, some of these fears are not valid. People are just throwing in issues into the fray to make sure that we disclose to them the complete an entire functionality of the beavers. There are some politicians who want us to open the brain of the beavers so that they can see inside the beavers to see how it functions, and for them to also see whether there's a possibility for them to clone it or manipulate it. And the commission will not do that. The electoral process, democracy can only be protected by a vigilant people. And the law has given the political parties the leeway, the power, and the right to deploy their polling agents to all the polling units in Nigeria and to all the collation centers for them to see what goes on, to be sure that nobody puts in any foreign material into the ballot box on election day that will cause overvoting. Our beavers is a very robust gadget, a very robust instrument, and we have faith in it, and we believe that it is the ultimate arbiter in terms of those who want to manipulate the process. So I think that Nigerians should have faith in the beavers, and the beavers is robust, and the beavers will be the game changer in the 2023 general election. Hold
on, Mr. Okoye. If the RATEX are the interface between when the results are uploaded on IREV portal before people can view it, how are these officials being protected, or so to speak, guarded from politicians, such that they will not have access to them, and as a result, the results will not be compromised before they are uploaded?
No, the RATEX, we are going to deploy RATEX to all the registration areas, so that if there's a challenge in any polling unit, they can intervene, and intervene decisively and quickly to deal with whatever challenge we have. The results from our polling units will be uploaded to the INEC result viewing portal in real time. The polling agents will be there when these things are going on. What the RATEX will do is to assist those who have challenges in terms of result upload. Not that they are the ones who are going to be uploading the results. They will also assist the collation officers during the collation process. Section 64, subsection 6 of the Electoral Act has also given all the collation officers the standard and what to do when there is a challenge in relation to results that have been uploaded, and also the results that are brought to the collation center by the presiding officers. So I think that in all these stages, we have completely and comprehensively explained to Nigerians how these things will interface. So the issue of manipulation does not even arise in relation to what we are doing.
All right, I've got this one from Bako Maika. He says he did the transfer to his village. His details are on INEC portal showing his village. He traveled down to get his voter card and couldn't get it because INEC didn't print the card, and then he attached his details. What should he do?
You see, one thing I have observed is that unless you press and push, some of our people do not tell you the whole truth and nothing but the truth. There are some people who, rather than carry out plain transfer, they went and registered afresh. But if somebody carried that transfer and who had never registered before, and we have not printed the person's card, if the person makes the necessary report, we will print the card.
Okay,
yes.
we see quite a number of other exchanges. This one is from Victor Asa, who says, how can private citizens have access to the INEC result viewing portal, that's IREV? And I'm wondering, will IREV be open on the mock accreditation day?
I need to clarify whether we are going to open IREV on mock accreditation day. But there's no result to be uploaded during the mock. We may just upload a piece of paper during the mock accreditation to see how it performs. But people are not voting during the mock. We want to see the performance of the beavers. At the end of the entire exercise, we may just use a piece of paper or any result sheet to upload to see to the performance of the IREV in real time from different parts of the country. But as the election progresses, if you go to INECresults.com, you will have access.
INECresults.com.
INECresult.org. Yes.
Okay. INECresults.org is how to get into
the results that we uploaded before for other elections are already there.
Okay.
And so on election day, any individual that has access to a smartphone, that have access to a computer, and that registers on the portal, we have access to view all the results in real time as they come in.
Okay, Mr. Precious Agbeso wants to know, you know, what can happen or what will happen for categories of people who might be disenfranchised as a result of their call to duty. For instance, security operatives, media, etc.
It's a very, very huge challenge. And the Commission is also looking at reforms at that particular direction. I know that in some countries, people who are on essential duty, journalists, people who work in the power sector, those in the military, in the police, and so on, and even ad hoc staff that will be engaged by the Commission, do what we call early voting. But we don't have early voting in the electoral process. It is one of the reforms that the Commission wants to propose after the 2023 general election. But for this period, it's very unfortunate that they will not be in a position to vote.
Okay, we do have many more questions. There are always more questions when it comes to this, so it's expected. But I think we'll find a way to get some of these answers and then maybe read them all out to you, because we're really out of time right now. But it's something we'll work with the Commission and see how we can get your questions and challenges addressed as we progress. But thank you for coming on, Mr. Festus.
I really appreciate this opportunity.
All right, there you go. That is the show today. We thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm Chamberlain Uso. Goodbye.
Thank you. I'm Malkwelgo Yusuf. Have a great day.
From this side of the divide, I am